The scream tore through the newsroom like a live wire. But it was the thud from the rooftop that stopped my heart. Alex's phone buzzed once. Twice. Then erupted with the name, Jordan, flashing like a ghost on the screen. Even as we sat in our cramped Brooklyn apartment. Rain lashing the windows. In that instant, I knew our 5 years of whispered vows and stolen mornings were unraveling. Thread by fragile thread. Because my husband's ex hadn't just Fallon had chosen the drop. And now Alex was slipping away too. I remember the way Alex's face drained of color. His green eyes, those eyes I'd traced with my fingertips 1,000 lazy Sundays going distant. Like he was already plummeting alongside the man who'd broken him a decade ago. William, he whispered, voice cracking as he clutched the phone. It's Jordan. God. He jumped. From the goddamn roof of the Chronicle. The words hung in the air, heavy as the storm outside. And I reached for him. But he pulled back. Not with anger, but with that hollow ache I'd only seen in old photos from his wilder days. Before us, Jordan's name had always been a shadow in our marriage. A polite ghost we tiptoed around at dinner parties. But now it was flesh and blood. Splattered across the evening headlines, veteran reporter leaps to death amid scandal probe. We'd met Alex's ex only once. At a crowded LGBTQ plus fundraiser in Chelsea 3 years back. When Jordan sauntered in like he owned the room, tall, sharp-jawed, with that effortless charisma that made you feel seen and stripped bare in the same breath. He was 42 then, a decade older than Alex's 38. And me, William, at 35, the awkward newcomer who'd married into this history. Jordan had clapped Alex on the back, his laugh booming over the jazz quartet, and murmured something that made my husband flush something about, old flames never really die. I'd laughed it off later, over cheap Merlot in our cab ride home. But the seed was planted, doubt. That insidious weed that twists through even the strongest roots. That night, as sirens wailed in the distant scops swarming the Midtown block where Jordan's body had landed on a parked van, crumpling it like foil, Alex paced our living room, the floorboards creaking under his bare feet. He called me last week. He confessed finally, sinking onto the couch, elbows on knees, head in hands. Said he was in trouble. Deep shit at the paper embezzlement rumors. Affairs with sources. I told him to get help. William. I swear I did. His voice broke, and I knelt before him, my hands on his thighs, feeling the tremor there. The way his body still carried the map of Jordan's touch. Faint scars from a love that had scorched him young. We'd built our life on forgiveness. Alex and I. He was the anchor, the steady editor with his meticulous notes and quiet strength. The one who'd pulled me from my own Recagia failed novel. A string of ghosted dates in my 20s. I was the dreamer, the freelance writer scraping by on pitches to indie mags. Always chasing the next byline while he grounded me with grocery lists and weekend hikes in the Palisades. Our wedding had been simple, vows exchanged under a rainbow flag in City Hall, followed by falafel and hookah in the village, surrounded by friends who cheered us like we'd rewritten the stars. But Jordan, he was the prologue Alex couldn't edit out. The first love who'd swept him off his feet at 25. A cub reporter duo hustling scoops in smoky bars. Until betrayal cracked them open. Jordan's wandering eye. His lies about late nights that weren't deadlines. As the rain hammered on, Alex's phone kept buzzing. Colleagues from the Chronicle. Friends from the circuit. Even a detective's curt voicemail about persons of interest. I brewed chamomile. Strong and bitter. And we sat in silence. The TV flickering muted reports grainy footage of the rooftop. Yellow tape fluttering like fallen confetti. Why now? I asked, my voice smaller than I intended. After all this time. Alex looked at me. Really looked. And the pain in his eyes was a knife, not just grief, but guilt. woven with something sharper regret for the life he might have had if Jordan hadn't shattered it first. By dawn, the storm had broken, leaving the city slick and gleaming under a weak sun. Alex hadn't slept. Neither had I. We drove to the precinct in silence, my Prius weaving through pothole-riddled streets, the Hudson River a gray ribbon to our left. The detective, a burly woman named Reyes with a no-nonsense buzz cut and a rainbow pin on her lapel, met us in a stale interrogation room that smelled of burnt coffee. "Mr. Harlan," she said to Alex, sliding a photo across the table Jordan's wallet shot. Smiling. "Alive. You were one of the last calls he made. Care to explain?" Alex swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. "We talked. Old times." He sounded lost. Said the paper was closing in on him, that he'd lose everything. Reyes nodded, jotting notes, her pen scratching like claws. "And you? Any bad blood?" I tensed, my hand finding Alex's under the table. But he squeezed back. "Steady. Water under the bridge. Years ago." She eyed me then, her gaze softening just a fraction. "And you, Mr. Ellis? How's the marriage holding up with this ghost crashing the party?" I forced a smile, but it felt like glass. "We're solid." I lied, because in that moment, with Alex's palms sweaty against mine, I wasn't sure anymore. Back home, he retreated to his study, door ajar, typing furiously at his laptop Hobbit drafts. Maybe. Or emails to Jordan's sister in Philly. I wandered the apartment, tracing the spines of our shared bookshelves, Audre Lorde next to Baldwin, our dog-eared copies of Giovanni's Room, dog-marked with our own margins. That's when I found it, slipped under a stack of Alex's notes, a crumpled bar napkin from the Stonewall Inn, dated last month, with Jordan's scrawl, "Miss you more than words. Drinks. J." My stomach dropped, a free fall sharper than any headline. Had Alex gone? Lied about that call? I confronted him gently, napkin trembling in my fist, and his face crumpled like wet paper. "I didn't go," he said, pulling me close. "But I wanted to. God, William, for one stupid night. I wondered what if." The admission hung between us. Electric. And we made love that afternoon fierce. Desperate. Bodies colliding like waves against rock. But as he slept beside me, chest rising and falling, I stared at the ceiling cracks, wondering if Jordan's fall had cracked us too. The funeral was a circus, as these things go in New York Street. Bartholomew's packed with journos in ill-fitting suits, whispers rippling like aftershocks. Jordan's sister, Elena, a wiry woman in her 40s with the same hawkish nose, clutched Alex's arm as we paid respects, her eyes red-rimmed. "He talked about you all the time," she murmured, voice thick. "Said you were the one who got away." Alex stiffened, but I nodded, swallowing the bile. Because what could I say? That her brother's shadow had haunted our bed, that his death was unearthing landmines we'd buried deep. Afterward, at the wake in a dim Soho loft catered sliders and craft IPAs masking the grief we drank too much. Alex and I orbiting each other like wary satellites. A colleague cornered him, slurring about Jordan's final scoop, leaked docs proving he'd faked stories for clicks. Slept his way to promotions. The scandal that had tanked his career pushed him over the edge. The guy said, clapping Alex's shoulder. Literally. Alex paled, excusing himself to the balcony. And I followed. The city hum a distant roar below. "Talk to me," I begged, wind whipping my hair. He leaned on the railing, knuckles white. "I keep seeing Itham up there. Wind in his hair. Thinking of me. Of us." His voice cracked, and I pulled him into my arms, our coats tangling. "Jordan chose that. Alex, not you. And whatever pull he had, it's gone. But even as I said it, doubt not, was it? That night, back in Brooklyn, Alex confessed more late-night texts from Jordan. Pleas for advice. A drunken voicemail slurring. You're the only one who ever saw me. I'd deleted them without a word. But now they echoed. Accusing. Weeks blurred into a haze of routines fractured, Alex throwing himself into deadlines. Coming home late with whiskey on his breath. Me. Pounding keys on a stalled manuscript. Words failing like trust. One evening, as autumn leaves skittered across Prospect Park, we walked Milo a scruffy rescue mutt who'd witnessed our every fight, and makeup and Alex stopped under a ginkgo tree. Golden foliage raining down. I need space. William, he said, voice barely above the wind. It's killing me. Us. The words landed like Jordan's body on that van. A sickening crunch. Space. After vows. After the ring on his finger glinting in church light. I nodded. Numb. Because fighting felt futile against a ghost. He moved to a sublet in the East Village. A sterile studio smelling of fresh paint and regret. And I rattled around our apartment alone. Milo's wine's my only company. Nights. I'd scroll old photos. Our honeymoon in Provincetown. Sand in our toes. Laughing at nothing. Alex's proposal on the Brooklyn Bridge at midnight. Knees soaked from rain. How had we gotten here? Teetering on our own ledge. But grief has a way of sharpening edges. And mine honed into resolve. I dove into Jordan's world. The only way a writer knows how. Research. Late nights at the library. Microfiche dust in my lungs. I pieced together the man who'd nearly unmade my marriage. Jordan Harlan. Rising star at 28. Out and proud when it cost jobs. Scoops that toppled corrupt councilmen. Earning him Pulitzers and enemies. But the cracks showed early affairs whispered in bylines. Coke-fueled benders after deadlines. Alex had been his rock then. The younger lover patching wounds with quiet devotion. Until Jordan's betrayal, a one-night stand with a source. Exposed in a rival rag. They'd imploded publicly. Headlines screaming queer power couples bitter split. Yet, reading between the lines, I saw the humanity. Jordan's columns on AIDS activism. Mentoring queer kids in Harlem workshops. He wasn't a villain just broken. Like us all. And in those archives, I found letters. Tucked in a forgotten binder, Alex's handwriting. Young and fervent. You make me believe in forever. One read. My chest ached. Not with jealousy, but empathy for the boy Alex had been. For the man Jordan might have been if life hadn't bent him crooked. One crisp November morning, as frost etched our windows, Elena called. Found something, she said, voice hushed. Journals. Jordan's. He wrote about you both. We met at a diner off Times Square. Vinyl booths cracking under us. Steam rising from coffee mugs. She slid over a battered moleskine. Pages yellowed. Ink smudged. I flipped it open. Heart pounding. Entries from last year. Jordan's scrawl looping like vines. Saw Alex today, God. He's glowing. That husband of his. William. Steady as they come. Wish I could have been that for him. And later, the fall's coming. Not just the roof. Owe him an apology. For everything. Tears blurred the words. Hot and unbidden. Jordan hadn't jumped to haunt Ushed Fallen carrying regrets. A final bid for absolution. I texted Alex the photo. No preamble. And by evening, he was at our door. Snowflakes melting in his hair. Read it. I asked, pulling him inside. He nodded, collapsing against me. He was hurting so bad. And I shut him out. We sank to the floor, Milo nosing between us, and talked really talk for the first time in months. About the fear that Jordan's chaos stirred in him. The echo of his own doubts. What if I'm not enough? What if I break you like he broke me? You're more than enough, I whispered, cupping his face, thumbs brushing stubble. We're both scarred, Alex. But together, we're whole. The kiss that followed was slow, redemptive, tasting of salt and second chances. We made promises then. Not grand vows, but small ones, therapy twice a month. Date nights sans phones. A weekend away to rewrite our story. Spring thawed the city. Cherry blossoms dusting Washington Square like confetti from a fresh start. Alex's sublet gathered dust. He moved back. Boxes unpacked with laughter instead of sighs. My manuscript flowed at last, a memoir of love's tightrope, dedicated to the man who caught me, and the ghost who taught us to fly. Jordan's journals. Elena donated them to the LGBT Historical Society. A quiet legacy of a life that, in its mess, illuminated ours. On our 6th anniversary, we returned to that Brooklyn bridge. Fog rolling off the water like forgiveness. Alex knelt again, not with a ring, but a locket inside. A tiny photo of us three, me, him, and a faded shot of Jordan, smiling. To the past, he said, fastening it around my neck. And the future we build. As the skyline twinkled, I pulled him close, hearts sinking in the night air. Love isn't a straight drop, it's the climb back up. Hand in scarred hand. Toward light. The bridge's cables hummed with traffic above us. A metallic lullaby as Alex and I lingered. Our breaths mingling in the chill. That locket warmed against my chest. A talisman against the what-ifs that had nearly unspooled us. But closure, I'd learned, isn't a neat bow, it's threads you weave daily. Fragile yet fierce. Back home, with Milo sprawled on the rug, we uncorked a bottle of Cabernet, toasting not just survival, but growth. To us, Alex murmured, clinking glasses, his smile tentative but real. The first unguarded one in weeks. Yet shadows lingered. Alex's work at the Chronicle ramped up irony of ironies. He was now lead editor on the ethics probe that had haunted Jordan. Late nights blurred into dawn, his laptop glowing like a rival in our bed. I'd wake to empty sheets, the scent of his cologne fading, and wonder if the pull of that old newsroom fire still called him. One such morning, as I brewed espresso in our galley kitchen, sunlight slanting through fire escapes, my phone pinged, an email from Reyes. New leads on Harlan case. Might interest you. My pulse quickened. Jordan's death hadn't been ruled clean, whispers of foul play. A rival pushing for his spot. Maybe even a scorned lover with motive. I forwarded it to Alex, who replied curtly, not now. But curiosity gnawed. That writer's itch I couldn't scratch. By afternoon, I was at the library again, cross-referencing obits with court filings. Unearthing a web, Jordan's final story. A takedown of a media mogul's queerphobia. Had ruffled feathers high up. Threats. Anonymous email chat he leapt. Or been cornered. That evening, Alex came home hollow-eyed. "I ask you." Reyes called the office. He said, dropping his keys on the counter with a clatter. They think someone tampered with the roof access. Jordan didn't just choose. The words landed like stones in still water, rippling out. We ordered Thai from the spot on 7th. Spicy enough to burn away the chill. And over pad CEW. He spilled, a colleague. Mark Jordan's one-time protege. Now gunning for his desk, had been seen arguing days before. Mark hated him, Alex said. Fork pausing midair. Called him a has-been sellout. Jealousy twisted in me. Not of Jordan, but of the world Alex inhabited. High-stakes beats where truths could kill. Stay out of it, I urged. But he shook his head. Fire sparking in those green eyes. Can't. Not when it's family. Family, the word stung. Inclusive yet exclusive. Jordan folded into our fold posthumously. That night, as we lay tangled, his fingers tracing my spine, I felt the tension in him. A coiled spring. Love, I realized, demands vigilance not just against ghosts, but the living threats that mimic them. Days stretched taut. Alex dove deeper, pulling strings for internal memos. His protectiveness a double-edged sword. I tagged along to a queer-lit reading in the village, seeking distraction amid dog-eared paperbacks and warm bodies. There, amid the murmur of voices reciting Ginsberg, I spotted Elena across the room, nursing a gin and tonic. She waved me over, her face lined deeper than at the funeral. "Been meaning to thank you," she said, clinking her glass to mine, "for sharing those journals. Gave me peace." We talked late, the bar emptying around us. Jordan's childhood in Queens, his coming out at 16 amid Reagan's silence on AIDS, the brother he'd never been to her. He adored Alex, she confessed, eyes misty. "But you, he envied you. Said you made Alex brave." The compliment warmed, but so did the ache. Jordan, watching from afar, rooting for the love he'd lost. As I walked home, subway rumbling beneath, I texted Alex, "Miss you. Come home soon." His reply, digging dirt, "Love you." But dirt has a way of dirtying hands. A week later, Alex burst through the door at midnight, rain-soaked and wild-eyed, clutching a USB drive like contraband. "Got it from Mark's desk," he panted, booting my laptop. Files spilled open, emails time-stamped hours before Jordan's fall. Mark urging him to back off the story or else. A veiled threat, but enough to crack the case wide. "We take this to Reyes tomorrow," I said, heart hammering. Alex nodded, but his jaw clenched. "It's more. Mark. He knew about us. About Jordan and me. Back then. Used it to blackmail him into silence." The revelation hit like vertigo. Blackmail. Twisting old wounds for leverage. We crashed on the couch. Milo curled at our feet, and Alex unraveled the thread. Jordan, cornered, had confessed to Alex in that final call not just trouble, but shame. He said he was sorry. For everything. And then, his voice trailed, and I held him, rocking gently, the weight of unspoken forgiveness crushing. In that moment, our marriage felt like a scaffold, sturdy but swaying in the gale. Reyes moved fast. By week's end, Mark was in cuffs, spilling a confession in a sweat-soaked interrogation. Panic. Not premeditation, but the shove literal. From behind on that rain-slick roof. Manslaughter. The charge stuck, and the headlines shifted. Newsroom betrayal ends in tragedy. Alex testified, voice steady in the stand, his words a eulogy wrapped in justice. Jordan was flawed, but he was good, he said, eyes on the jury. He deserved better than this. The trial drained us. Courtroom stuffy with fluorescent hum and averted gazes. But in the quiet after verdict read, gavel falling, we reclaimed breath. A weekend in the Catskills. Cabin rented on a whim. Became our reset, wood smoke and stargazing. Alex's laughter echoing as we chopped kindling. My arms around his waist from behind. "Remember our first trip?" he asked one night. Fire crackling. Esmores gooey on skewers. I nodded, feeding him a bite. "Yosemite. You proposed under the falls." He grinned, marshmallow on his lip. "And you said yes, even though I stuttered." We hiked dawn trails, mist clinging to pines, hands linked against the chill. At a overlook, valley sprawling below. Alex turned to me. "Serious? I almost lost this." "Lost you?" His voice roughened. "Jordan's gone." But he showed mellow of isn't possession. It's choice. Every damn day. I kissed him there, fierce against the wind, tasting earth and eternity. Back in the city, therapy sessions unpacked the rest, my insecurities, his unresolved grief, tools to mend what bent. Summer bloomed defiant, pride marching down Fifth with rainbows unfurling. We joined the float, Alex in a feather boa I'd tied with a wink, me snapping photos as he danced. Free. Elena waved from the sidelines, a new man on her arm, cautious hope. Later, at a rooftop party, irony noted, overlooking the very skyline that had claimed Jordan, Alex pulled me aside. No more jumps, he whispered, forehead to mine. We're flying now? And we were. My book deal came through, pages pouring out raw and redemptive. Alex mentored a crop of young reporters, queer voices rising where Jordan's had faltered. Milo grew grayer, our routines richer. Sunday brunches at that same diner, hands intertwined over eggs. Love, we'd learned, thrives in the fractures, light pouring through like dawn after storm. Yet even as we mended, the world conspired to test. Fall brought a bombshell, the Chronicle. Bleeding ad revenue. Announced layoffs. Alex's name wasn't on the list yet, but the axe hovered, sharpening anxieties we'd thought dulled. He threw himself into an investigative series on queer youth homelessness, pounding pavement from the Bowery to the Bronx, coming home with stories that broke my heart and his. These kids, he'd say over dinner, fork forgotten. They're us. 20 years back. No safety nets. I listened, nodding. But inside, fear coiled. What if the job loss pulled him back to Jordan's orbit? That chaotic pull of the grind. One night, as leaves turned crimson in the park, we argued rare, but volcanic. You're shutting me out again, I accused, voice rising over Milo's anxious whines. Like with him. Alex's eyes flashed. This isn't about Jordan. It's about fighting for something bigger than us. The word stung, truth barred with hurt, and he stormed out, doors slamming like a period. He returned at dawn, coffee in hand from our corner bodega, apology etched in shadows under his eyes. I'm scared too, he admitted, setting the tray down, steam curling like truce flags. Losing the paper. It's losing the fight. We talked till noon, unpacking the terror, his, of irrelevance, mine, of abandonment. That vulnerability bridged us closer. Intimacy reignited in slow, deliberate touches. Mornings where we'd linger in bed, tracing tattoos, his anchor on my ribcage, my compass on his wrist, whispering dreams deferred. Elena's holiday invite arrived like balm, Thanksgiving in Philly. Her new partner cooking turkey, a chance to fold family wider. We drove down I-95, radio humming show tunes. Milo in the back with his head out the window. Her row house glowed with candles, scents of sage and pie wafting over cranberry sauce. She raised a glass, to Jordan and to you too, for carrying his light. Tears pricked. Alex squeezed my knee. Grounding. But Philly unearthed more, Elena's attic trove. Boxes of Jordan's relics. We sifted gently awards dusty. Clippings yellowed until Alex unearthed a tape, old VHS of their first joint report. Grainy footage from a 90s rally. We played it on her ancient player. Laughter bubbling as young Alex, earnest with a mic, bantered with Jordan's sly grin. Look at you, I teased, arm around him. Baby journo heartthrob. He blushed. But the tape stirred ghosts, Jordan's voice. Vital. Calling for equality in tones that echoed Alex's now. Driving back. Snow flurrying. Alex was quiet. He'd be proud. He said finally, hand on my thigh. Of this. Pride swelled, mingled with sorrow, not loss, but legacy. Christmas brought quiet joys, tree strung with ornaments from our travels. Milo in a Santa hat. Gifts unwrapped Sloan. A leather-bound journal for his side hustle blog. Him. A custom typewriter keychain engraved, our story. New Year's. We watch fireworks from our roof, ironic perch. Resolutions sealed with a kiss, more adventures. Less holding back. Winter thawed to spring's promise. But tension simmered at work. Mark's trial wrapped with a plea deal 10 years. No parade but fallout lingered, colleagues eyeing Alex warily. Whispers of troublemaker. Then the call, promotion. But lateral. To a safer desk. They want me neutered. He fumed. Pacing. I pulled him down. Feet in my lap. Or elevated. Use it. His series ran. Raw exposés that sparked City Hall hearings. And suddenly, he was the voice panels. Podcasts. Queer icons nodding approval. Jealousy flickered in me then. Silly but sharp, the spotlight shifting. A book event for my memoir loomed. Launch in a cozy bookstore off Bleecker. Friends toasting drafts. Alex beamed from the front row. But afterward, over wine, a fan cornered him. Your ex's story tragic. How'd you move on? The question hung. Blade sharp. He deflected gracefully, with love's help, but later, in bed, confessed, it still stings. The label, survivor of the dead guy. I held him tight. You're not defined by him. By anyone but us. Vulnerability flowed. Tears hot on my shoulder. And we made love languid. Reaffirming bodies a map of belonging. Summer swelled with heat waves. Our anniversary trip to Fire Island, dunes and bonfires. Hands linked on the beach at sunset. There, under stars pricking black velvet. Alex proposed a pact, annual ghost checks. Honest talks to air haunts before they fester. Fall circled back. Leaves crunching underfoot as we walked the high line. Rails rusting poetic. My book climbed charts. Queer shelves stocking it proud. Alex's blog burgeoned. Essays on media ethics drawing acolytes. One evening, Elena visited. Bearing pie and news, Jordan's foundation. Seated with his savings. Funding scholarships for queer journalists. Your name's on the board. She asked. We agreed. A triad eternal. As winter loomed again. Snow dusting the bridge. We paused mid-crossing. Locket glinting. 6 years. Alex marveled. And counting. Laughter bubbled. Free. And I knew. We'd jumped our own ledges. Landed not in ruin. But rebirth. Love's not the fall, it's the flight. Wings mended. Soaring side by side. But flights falter. Drafts catching unseen gusts. Early spring brought an envelope. Unmarked. Slipped under our door, photos. Grainy but unmistakable Alex and Jordan. Intimate. Time-stamped months before the fall. My hands shook as I spread them on the kitchen table. Heart a war drum. Forged. Or truth unearthed. Alex found me there. Frozen. And his face ashen. William. It's not, but the images lied or didn't. And doubt crashed in. Title. We sat. Photos between us like indictments. Milo sensing storm. Whining low. Tell me. I demanded. Voice steel over fracture. He exhaled. Long. One night. After a work thing. He was drunk. Desperate. I stopped at Swearbit the kiss. It happened. The admission gutted. Betrayal blooming fresh. Why hide? I choked. Feared this. Losing you. Tears tracked his cheeks. And mine joined. Salt mingling as we reached across the chasm. Therapy that week was brutal. Our counselor's office. Plants drooping like empathy. Words excavating raw. Trust rebuilds slow. She said. Neutral. Alex owned it Felino excuses. Just remorse carved deep. I raged. Grieved. Then softened. We all slip. But no more shadows. He nodded. Vow silent, but iron. Dates recommenced. Deliberate. Picnics in Central Park. Wildflowers in his hair. My head on his lap as he read Poetry Whitman. Fierce and free. Elena's foundation launch gala glittered at the New York Historical Society. Chandeliers dripping light on tuxes and gowns. We arrived arm in arm. Alex in midnight blue. Me in charcoal. Nerves electric. Speeches flowed, honorees. Young queers with fire in their eyes. Crediting Jordan's ghost. When Alex took the mic. Voice steady. He taught me truths cost and love's reward. Applause thundered. Backstage. Elena hugged us fierce. He'd toast you both. But glamour cracked post-party. A tipsy donor cornered Alex. Slurring praise laced with pity, overcoming that tragedy. Huh. Venom in velvet. Alex bristled. But I pulled him away. Cab ride home a decompression. Their words don't define us. He leaned on my shoulder. Exhausted. Sometimes feels like they do. Home. We shed suits slow. Shower steam fogging mirrors. Bodies reconnecting, water cascading forgiveness. Summer scorched. AC wheezing in our flat. My book tour kicked off. Boston. Then Chicago. Signings where fans shared stories mirroring ours, love tested. Triumphs hard won. Alex joined for the finale in D.C. National Mall backdrop. Monuments, stoic witnesses. Post-reading Q&A turned personal. How'd you survive the ex's death? A voice asked. I glanced at Alex. Hand in mine. By choosing each other. Daily. He flew back energized. Pitching a chronicle series on survivor narratives, queer lives post-loss. Editor's bit. And suddenly, he was fielding interviews. Notebook in pocket. That old spark reignited sans chaos. Pride that year felt victorious. Floats, thumping bass. Our group marching with foundation banners. Rainbows arcing despite drizzle. Elena linked arms with us. Trio bonded in blood and choice. Yet autumn whispered warnings. Layoff whispers crescendoed. Colleagues jumped ship. Resumes flying. Alex's promotion soured, budget cuts loomed. His beat vulnerable. What if? He voiced one night. Staring at ceiling fans whirring lazy. I rolled to face him. Fingers lacing. Then we pivot. Together. Job hunts ensued. Coffees with contacts. LinkedIn pings. His CV polished like armor. Rejection stung. But so did Solidaritime proofreading cover letters. Milo reviewing with paw prints. Thanksgiving dawned gray. But Elena's table warmed. Turkey carved. Stories swapped. Her partner regaling with Philly lore. Post-feast walk along the Schuylkill. Leaves swirling. Alex confided, grateful for this mess. Showed me your steel. I bumped his shoulder. And your heart. Holidays twinkled. Menorah candles. Nod to my lapsed Jewish roots. Tree baubles clinking to carols. Gifts, thoughtful, a vintage typewriter for him. Inscribed, type our forever. New Year dawned crisp. Resolutions etched, career shifts embraced. Adventures amplified. Alex landed freelance gigs, podcasts. Op-eds buying time. We weekend in the Hudson Valley. Vineyard tours and bonfires. Vines heavy with promise. There. Amid Merlot mists. He proposed evolution, adopt. Make our circle wider. The idea bloomed. Terrifying and tender talks of agencies. Home studies. Dreams of tiny hands and hours. Spring unfurled tentative. Cherry petals confetti. Foundation board meetings bonded us deeper. Grant reviews. Youth mentorships. Jordan's echo in every decision. One evening. Post-meeting. Rooftop drinks at a donor's penthouse, city sprawl below. Safe this time. Alex clinked my glass. To flights taken. Laughter rose. Light. But tests persist. A chronicle memo dropped. Cuts final. His roll spared but slimmed. Enough, he declared, tendering notice. Pivot complete, full-time foundation work. Blending legacy with livelihood. I cheered, masking my thrill more evenings hours. Less nights alone. Summer peaked with our vow renewal, intimate. Central Park gazebo. Friends circling. Milo ring bearer in bow tie. Vows refreshed, through falls and flights. I choose you. Rings exchanged anew. Kisses sealed under arches green. Elena officiated. Voice thick, Jordan smiles tonight. As leaves turned once more, we walked the bridge. Locket swinging. Milo leashed loose. 7 years' scars faded to stories. Love a river carving canyons deep. Ready for the next leap. Alex teased. I grinned. With you. Always. Leaps demand landing gear. And ours came in papers, adoption profile submitted. Home visit scheduled. Excitement buzzed. Laced with nerves interviews probing our stability. Past laid bare. Think they'll see the good. Alex fretted one prep night. Flashcards of YS scattered. I gathered them. Kissing his temple. They'll see love. First visit dawned sunny. Social worker a mess. Patel kind-eyed. Notepad neutral. Milo charmed with tail wags. We toured rooms staged cozy nursery nook with bear on rocker. Questions flowed, routines. Support nets. Handling 2 dads. Alex fielded smooth. Anecdotes warm. I chimed in. Humor light. Post-departure. Exhale collective. Nailed it. But bureaucracy grinds slow. Waitlists loomed. Matches elusive. Distraction arrived. My sequel manuscript. Delving deeper into queer resilience. Deadlines looming. Alex beta read chapters. Notes scribbled affectionate, this slays. His foundation role flourished, events packed. Donors swelling. A gala in the works honoring trailblazers. Fall fundraiser glittered at the Met gown swirling. Bids soaring for auction lots. Our donated weekend getaway fetched 5 figures. Alex emceed. Charisma crackling. Tonight, we honor the fallen who lift us. Toasts to Jordan rippled. Elena, radiant in red, pulled me aside. He's thriving. Thanks to you. Pride swelled. Mingled with Acha Foundation's first scholarship recipient. A trans teen from Brooklyn. Gushing gratitude. Yet shadows crept. A profile photo resurfaced online. Twisted in a troll thread, dead ex's hubby cashes in. Vitriol stung. Anonymity's venom. Alex raged privately. Deleting comments. I countered publicly. Op-ed fierce. Grief isn't gossip. It's growth. Support flooded messages from strangers. Your story saves. Winter wrapped us cozy. Holidays hybrid. Lax sizzling beside tree lights. Adoption update pinged. Potential match toddler boy. Biracial. Foster system weary. Hearts raced. Visits scheduled in Jersey. First meeting. Neutral playroom. Little Theo eyed us wary. Curls wild. Toys exchanged tentative. Giggles coaxing. Papa. He tested. Toy truck in fist. Alex melted. I followed. Paperwork piled. Courts convened. Spring bloomed as Theo's forever loomed home study passed. Judges nod pending. Nerves frayed. What if we falter? I voiced. Pacing. Alex halted me. Hands firm. We won't. We've leaped higher. Gala after party hummed low. Theo's photo, blurred for privacy, pinned to our fridge. Talisman. Pride marched triumphant. Theo and carrier on Alex's chest. Tiny flags waving. Elena babysat evenings. Antidoting. Family. Full circle. Trial run weekends with Theo tested, tantrums navigated. Nights soothed. Joys and finger paint smeared. Judge approved summer solstice official. Hours. Courtroom hushed. Vows echoed. We choose you. Little man. Papers signed. Hugs fierce. Drive home. Theo asleep rear-facing. Our family sealed. Summer days blurred blissful. Park romps. Sandbox forts. Lullabies hummed. Challenges nipped, toys flung. Sleep regressions but triumphs shown. First, dada duel. Giggles at bubbles. Alex's book deal landed memoir co-penned with Elena. Jordan's untold. My tour synced. Dad duties juggled proud. Fall leaves crunched under strollers. Foundation gala peaked. Theo flower boy in tiny tucks. Bids soared. Speeches soared higher. Alex's. Voice breaking. For the children who follow. Elena's epilogue. Brothers' legacy lives. Winter wonderland. First snow. Theo's squeals at flakes. Sleds whipping down hills. Holidays tripled joy, tiny hands unwrapping. Carols croaked off key. New Year. Theo between us. Fireworks booming. To leaps with landing. Spring cycled eternal. Bridge walks trioed. Locket shared stories. 8 years wed. Theo's laughter bridge. Next adventure. Alex queried. Theo toddling ahead. Grin wide, whatever comes. Winged. Adventures, ambush gentle. Theo's second summer brought preschool, jitters drop-offs tear-streaked. Pickups clingy. Big boy brave. Alex cooed. Backpack slung. But his own eyes missed it. I lingered post-drop. Coffee in hand. Watching pint-sized chaos. Blocks topple. Friendships forge. He's ours. I marveled. Arm around Alex. Nod solemn. And we're his. Foundation duties deepened. Alex keynoting conferences. Travel tugging. Chicago trip loomed. Solo. I held fort. Theo and I mastering pancakes. Milo co-conspirator. FaceTimes nightly. Miss your chaos. He grinned. Skyline twinkling behind. Return reunion airport dash. Theo barreling. Daddy. My manuscript revisions ground gears agent notes nitpicky. Deadlines gnawing. Late nights. Theo abed. I type furious. Alex rubbing shoulders. It's gold. His memoir proofs arrived. Pages poignant, Jordan's youth sketch tender. Splits owned unflinching. Launch party intimate. Bookstore aglow. Elena read excerpt. Voice steady. He was human. As are we. Fall foliage framed family hikes. Palisades paths. Theo backpacked high. Acorns pocketed. Challenges crestita fever spike. ER-midnight. Pediatrician calm. But our grips white-knuckled. Post-crisis cuddle pile. Milo included. Team unbreakable. Pride evolved. Float with foundation. Theo waving mini flag. Cheers enveloping. Elena's partner proposed ringside joy doubled. Family swelled. Backyard barbecue toasted. Grill smoky. Stories swapped. Theo chasing fireflies. Winter's hush held holidays heartfelt. Gingerbread disasters. Sledding spills. Carols Theo mangled adorable. New Year's quiet. Theo slumbering. We danced slow to Coltrane. Whispers woven. 9 years. Deeper. Spring stirred ambitions. Alex eyed grad school. Nonprofit MBA nights. I pitched podcast Queer Dads Decoded. Theo's birthday bash ballooned. Park picnic. Cake smeared faces. Gifts galore. 2 candles flickered. Wishes blown. Summer circuits. Beach weeks Cape Cod. Theo sandcastle king. Waves tickling toes. Alex's classes commenced. Books balanced with bedtime stories. My pod debuted. Episodes raw guests sharing leaps. Listeners emailing kinships. Fall equinox balanced. School routines set. Theo thriving letters. Foundation gala grandeur. Theo ring bearer encore. Bids breaking records. Alex's keynote thundered. From ashes. Alliances. Yet undercurrents tugged. Alex's studies strained, exams looming. Fatigue etching. Pushing too hard. I probed. Dinner cooling. Sigh heavy. Can't stop now. Support surged. Meal preps. Milo walks shared. Date nights distilled museum murmurs. Handholds haven. Thanksgiving Philly pilgrimage. Elena's table expanded. Theo cousin charmed. Post-feast tales. Jordan's childhood yarns. Theo rapped. Drive home snow-dusted. Carols crooning. Gratitude thick. Holidays harmonized. Lights strung. Lax lathed. Theo's awe at menorah flames. Tree trim tandem. Ornaments ogled. New Year dawn dancing. Theo twirling. Resolutions rooted balance. Boldness. Winter waned. Bridge breath synced. Theo skipping ropes. Locket lore for tiny years. Uncle Jordan flew high. Alex simplified. Theo nodded sage. Like us. Spring bloomed buoyant. Alex aced midterms. Pod guests glowing. Theo's art show preschool proud. Finger paint masterpieces mounted. Family photo op. Bridge backdrop. Trio timeless. Summer solstice circled. Renewal vows gazebo gathered. Theo flower-fisted. Words weathered. Through tempests. Tethered. Rings refreshed. Kisses kindled. As leaves hinted gold. We paused paths. Theo leaf crown king. 10 years loomed luminous. Eternal leap. Alex queried. Eyes eternal. Heart full. Infinite. Eternity edges earned. Theo's preschool graduation cap and gown tiny. Diploma clutched proud alphabet mastered. Friends forever. Tears pricked parental. Alex's speechlet stage whispered. World's yours. Kiddo. Reception recess romped. Cake crumbs carnage. Alex's thesis brewed. Nonprofit visions vast global queer youth networks. Nights nerd. Graphs graphed. Grants grinded. I co-piloted. Proofreading prose. Theo helping with crayons. Pod peaked. Sponsor snack. Episodes evergreen. Fall frenzy. Kindergarten kickoff. Backpack battles. Bus stop bonds. Theo thrived. Tales tumbling. Missy shared crayons. Foundation forum ferried Alex abroad London week. Legacy lectures. Solo parenting sharpened. Bedtime battles won. Milo confidant. Reunion airport arms open. Theo tackling. Missed daddy stories. Jet lag lingered. But jet love lifted. Elena's wedding weekend whooshed. Philly's ceremony colorful. Theo ring bearer ringlet. Dances delirious. Vows vicarious. Ours echoed. Holidays heightened. Halloween haunts. Theo pirate plundered candy. Thanksgiving's tripled. Elena's kin now. Winter wonder. Snow forts fortified. Skates skidded rinkside. New Year nestled. Theo nestled tween. Fireworks framed window. Resolutions refined. Resilience. Reach. Spring sprouted. Alex defended thesis. Diploma dawn proud. Pod partnership Pachedco host. Queer dad duo. Theo's birthday bash ballooned. Bounce house bedlam. Piñata pulverized. 5 candles. Wishes winged. Summer sojourned. Adirondacks adventure. Canoes cantered. Campfires crooned. Foundation funded fly. Grants gushing. Theo mascot mini. My book 2 birthed. Resilience riffs. Release rapturous. Tour tandem. Alex tag teaming talks. Theo tag along treasured. Fall foliage frolicked. Leaf piles leaped. Pumpkin patches picked. School strides steady. Theo's tales treasure. Gala gallad grand. Theo tucks tiny. Bids bountiful. Alex's address acclaimed. Roots from ruins. Challenges chanced. Alex's burnout flickered travel toll. Thesis triumph taxing. Retreat recommended. Weekend woods. No Wi-Fi. Unplugged, unburdened. Hikes healing. Hands held. Hearts honed. Thanksgiving tableau. Philly full. Theo turkey carved comedic. Tails tall. Ties tighter. Holidays hummed. Hanukkah heroes. Dreidel disasters delightful. Tree traditions twinkled. Gifts gleeful. New Year newness, Theo nestled. Toast tender. Decade dawned. Alex murmured. Decade danced, leaps logged. Love ledgered long. Winter warmed wills, bridge bundled. Theo snowball sovereign. Spring surged, kindergarten capstone. Theo confident. Pod premiered partnership. Buzz building. Summer symphony, Cape return. Theo surf schooled. Sunset savored. Foundation forum family, Theo translator toddler. Accents adorable. Fall framed forward, school settled. Alex adjunct appointed teaching tenure teased. Book buzzed bestsellers. Bonus bridge dreams house hunt hinted. Brooklyn brownstone beckoned. Gala glowed, decade donor. Theo's speech let stolen show. Bids broke banks. Bonds unbreakable. As snow sifted. We strolled starlit. Theo mitten mid. 11 etched. Forever flight. Alex asked. Stars sequent. Forever, feathered. Feathers fray. Mint fiercer. House hunt heated. Viewings vexing. Bids battled. Theo toured thrilled. My room castle. Compromise crowned. Park slope perch. Pre-war charm. Garden gated green.